Chicago Bears quarterback tier list. So, as you can see, I've got down here a list of just a few starting quarterbacks we have. I did have some criteria. First of all, these guys had to be actual starters. So they came in and they were meant to be starters. And then secondly, they were actually, there for a serviceable amount of time. So guys like, Josh McCown or Cordell Stewart. I'm not going to include those guys. So I've got a healthy list of quarterbacks here to talk about. I also didn't go anywhere past the 80s in terms of quarterbacks just because I don't really have that much to say about Bob Avellini or Johnny Lujack or guys like that. So I think this is a healthy list of quarterbacks to talk about. I did leave some out, but that's just because I didn't really have much to say about them. So we've got pretty much a good look at the consistent Bears quarterbacks that we've had since 1981. So we're going to start things off here with Eric Kramer, which is not a good way to start this off, I'd say. So Kramer is an interesting case because he just could never put anything together. And then out of nowhere, he had 1995, where he had 3,800 passing yards, threw 3 times as many touchdowns as he did interceptions. Like, the dude popped off that year, but he could just never do it ever again. So, I mean, it was worth having him there for that, I guess. But, like, he really, really did not do that much for us. So, I'm just going to give him a solid, C tier. And, by the way, when it comes to rankings here, these aren't rankings in terms of quarterbacks. These are relative to other Bears quarterbacks, because if we're talking about relative to just regular quarterbacks, I don't even know if any of these guys would be above B tier. So all right, and then next we've already got Cuddy. Cuddy is my man. So Jay Cutler, after years of quarterback instability, was the first Bears quarterback to really consistently start. He, I think, was here for about 7 years. And he's probably the best quarterback that the Bears have ever had, if we can be frank with each other for a second. I mean, he did put up the closest that we've ever had to a 4,000-yard passer. I think he had 3,900 in 2013, so that was pretty good. But there was just a few things that he could just never get going. Number one was he just had too many. There's just too much turnover in the coaching scene around him. I mean, he had Lovie Smith his first couple of years. He kept switching offensive coordinators on him. Then Lovie was fired. They brought in Mark Trestman after passing on Bruce Arians. And he only lasted a couple of years. Then he lasted a couple of years with John Fox, and then he was out. So I feel like if he had a consistent coaching staff, he really would have been the quarterback that the Bears really needed. But I mean, the dude was a solid guy. I mean, he was a reliable starter, and the Bears quarterback was not the problem on the team for once. It was actually probably the defense for most of his time there. So I'm just gonna put him in A tier. I love Cuddy. I mean, he was a chill guy, but just not the guy the Bears needed. Next, we have Jim Harbaugh, who was brought in to replace Jim McMahon. Oh boy, what an interesting career this guy had. I mean, he kind of sucked when he was with us. He did go to Indianapolis, and he was pretty good there. But for us, he just never really did that much. I think he was out within a couple of years. He was only there for 3 or 4 years, and then he was gone. So not really much to say. He was serviceable. But he kind of sucks. That's the only way I could put it. He was there just kind of to be there. I feel like people didn't really want to bring him in. People definitely wanted to keep rolling with McMahon, but I think the McCaskies actually made the GM at the time select him because they just really didn't like McMahon, I guess. So, I mean, not the guy the Bears needed. So, just going to put him in the C tier over there next to Mr. Kramer. Then we've got Jim McMahon, who a lot of people say is the best quarterback in Bears history, and I don't know. Maybe if he could stay healthy. Maybe. But, if you look at how consistently he was starting, because he was here for, about 8 years, and he never once played a full 14 or 16 game season. He never once actually completed a year without getting hurt. The dude got hurt all the time. Even in that legendary 85 season, the backup quarterback started 6 games. He just could not stay healthy. The dude was absolutely made of glass behind that O-line, which was not great until around 85, 86 when it started to get some Hall of Famers in there. But even then, the dude was still getting wrecked by legendary defensive linemen. So the dude just could not stay healthy. He was good, and the dude could be a gunslinger when he had to be, but he could not stay healthy to save his life. And I don't know, it just felt like it just wasn't. He just couldn't do that. Like, you can't have that instability at quarterback. We had so many backups starting. Like, Mike Tomczak got so much work in the 80s just because Jim McMahon could not stay healthy. So maybe he could have been A or maybe even S tier if he had played a full 16 games once in a while, but he couldn't. So I'm just going to drop him down right there. I mean, the dude was great. He could really ball out, but God, like, you got to actually be playing the game, to get that going. Next, we have Jim Miller, who didn't do much. Like, I feel like he was just there just to be there. He never really put up any impressive stats. He always threw pretty much the same amount of interceptions as he did touchdowns, and his passing yards hovered around the 2,000 range. Just could never get it going. The dude was a quarterback with some pretty good Bears teams. I mean, if you look at 2001, I think he was there for that. But just could not get that going, and pretty bad, honestly. I mean, they replaced him with Rex Grossman. That's how you know you're messing up. So I'm going to put him in D tier. Next, we have Kyle Orton, who is honestly the Teddy Bridgewater of his day. He was a very safe guy. He's a guy that could, be the quarterback you need, but he's not going to be flashy, and he's not going to be winning games for you like you want. He's just kind of, that's my best comparison. He's kind of like Teddy Bridgewater. He was serviceable. I mean, people wanted him over Rex Grossman, but I mean, he's not going to be the guy to lead you to a Super Bowl, but he'll win. He'll be a solid quarterback, but he's not going to really take you anywhere. So I would want to put him in between B and C, but I guess I'm going to put him in the C tier just because that's kind of where he fits. Next, we have Mike Glennon. Trash, so awful. Mike Glennon was brought in for. They offered him, Ryan Pace offered him a 3-year deal to play for the Bears. 3 years we were going to have this guy. And of course he sucked. The dude only played 5 games for us, and I think he won maybe one of them. He was so trash. I don't know what they saw, and I don't know why. How does he keep getting work? How does he keep getting work around the league? Like, the dude is not good, but teams just keep bringing him in. Like, he just... Like, I don't know, like, he went to the Giants and he started a game and he threw like 3 interceptions and he only had like 5 pass attempts. Like, I don't know why he keeps getting work in the league. So I really should have added like an F tier, but yeah, there you go. All right, next we have Mitch Trubisky here, who was quite the interesting fellow. I mean, Mitch Trubisky, I feel like if he had, because he came in under John Fox's last year, then they brought in Matt Nagy, and it felt like Matt Nagy actually played to his strengths his first season in 2018, which Mitch Trubisky went to the Pro Bowl in 2018. Like, that was his best year. But it felt like after that, in 2019 and 2020, they kept trying to make him into a quarterback that he wasn't. Like, the dude, if you look at his skill set, he could be like a Josh Allen, like a guy that can be mobile. He's not a reliable, like, deep ball passer by any means, but the dude, he can, run around, make some plays with his legs, and start getting you some first downs. That's his best comparison, is Josh Allen. But it felt like they were trying to make him Alex Smith. Like, they kept trying to make him stay in the pocket and just, like, throw short 10-yard passes. But the dude can be a mobile mid-range passer, and, like, they just never played to his strengths after 2018. But, like, you saw the potential in him. Like, that Tampa Bay game, the dude balled out, but just never really could get anything going. So, man. So, I just hate to say it, but I just got to put him in B tier. Maybe C tier. No, I'll put him in B tier. I love Mitch. Money Mitch is my man. All right. Moving on, we got Nick Foles. Nick Foles was, man, I don't know why they brought him in. I remember when the news broke that they traded for him. I think it was like a 5th-round pick this year that they brought him in for. He just, like, I mean, he's kind of just another Kyle Orton. He was the guy who was brought in to just kind of bring some stability, I guess, maybe be better than Mitch. But he definitely was not better than Mitch. He did win that Tampa Bay game with us and that Falcons game, which were pretty good wins for him. But then he was a third stringers next year behind Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, which he shouldn't be a third stringer anywhere in the league. Like, the dude could be a solid backup quarterback, but he was brought in to be a starter, and of course, he didn't really end up doing much, so that's why I'm just going to put him in C tier. Not terrible by any means, but the dude really just could not get much going, and honestly wasn't the right guy for that Bears team. And finally, we got Rex Grossman, who, if you're talking about gunslingers, this guy is the gunniest gunslinger we've ever seen. This is probably the closest we've ever had to a Brett Favre kind of guy. The dude could, make your eyes bleed with how amazingly terrible his interceptions were. And then the next play, he'll make your eyes cry with how amazing his deep ball accuracy was. He was just so hot and cold between being amazing and bringing you to a Super Bowl and being terrible and losing a Super Bowl. You look at that Cardinals game, he never even he threw 4 interceptions. He's lucky that they still won that. I feel like if the Bears had a more consistent quarterback, they probably would have won that game against Indianapolis in the Super Bowl. But they had this guy, Rex Grossman, who, yeah, he had the potential, but then he'll miss wide open pass. I think in the NFC Championship game, there was a guy just completely alone in the back of the end zone, and Rex just threw it clean over his head. Just it was like a 5-yard pass, and he just missed. So yeah, I don't just put him in C tier. He was just another mid quarterback, and this is probably the best look for Bears quarterbacks. It's just a whole lot of mid. You just could never get solid starting caliber guys. Yeah, we had Jay Cutler and Trubisky and McMahon. Maybe Trubisky probably had the potential to be something, but then you look at all these guys who could just never really pan out, and there's even more guys than this that I didn't even include. I haven't put Justin Fields on here. If I had to go just off of his rookie season, I'd probably also put him in C tier, but if we're talking potential-wise, he could be up here with Cuddy, maybe even in a league of his own in that S tier, which I will not put a Bears quarterback in the S tier until they can hit 4,000 yards passing. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so this is what my Bears tier list looks like for quarterbacks. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure a lot of you guys are yelling at me for putting Trubisky on the same level as Jim McMahon, but I hope my explanations made sense for a lot of these. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all later.